Hi, I'm Katie, and welcome to Hey It Gets Better. This is the podcast where I chat to people about the ups and downs of their lives and how they got to where they are now. Life can be pretty tough sometimes, there's no escaping that fact. But at Hey It Gets Better, we're all about talking about the journey. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and remember, hey, it gets better.
Hi Stacey, welcome to Hey It Gets Better.
Hello, Katie. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely no problem. So for all our listeners, Stacey is the founder of Planthaya, which is a CBD UK wellness brand, and you've got some fantastic products there.
Thank you. That's that makes me really happy that you think so.
Yeah, definitely. So I was wondering as well, before we jump into your story, if you could actually tell us a little bit about CBD. It's something that I definitely would love to know a bit more about because it's sort of like a mystery to me right now, like what it actually is.
I think it's a mystery to most people. Even before I started personally using CBD myself, I didn't associate it with something that I would use. I just thought it was an alternative to getting high for people who wanted to do it legally, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So it didn't even cross my mind that it would be something I would use. But once I had used it myself for my migraines, then I became such an advocate that I was done so much research, and basically CBD is just a compound that interacts with your body's own endocannabinoid system. So funny enough, your body actually produces its own cannabinoids, which interacts with receptors all over your body. You've got receptors in your brain, your skin, and lots of other vital organs. And CBD interacts with that to get them to work as they should be, basically. So yeah, we get lots of really great benefits from that, including lots of people use it for like stress and anxiety. People use it to help them with sleep, with managing pain. The list is just endless, really.
Yeah, it does sound like the cyber thing I need to get onto, really.
Yeah.
But I guess like it's one of those things where if you don't really know about it, like it's hard to know if it's the right thing for you, which is probably down to like the marketing of it and the general understanding of what actually it is.
100%, and that's where our products came from. Was we worked in the industry for quite a while before we produced our own products, and as a business owner in the CBD industry, I could navigate the CBD market quite well, but I had done a hell of a lot of research to get to that point. So as a consumer, you may be able to benefit from CBD, but actually getting to the point of finding a company that you like to work with, a brand that you like, knowing where to buy, how to know whether it's quality, these were all sort of roadblocks in people actually getting to the product and getting those benefits. And that was something we really wanted to overcome. And it was our mission with our CBD range to make CBD easy to choose and simple to use. That's all people wanted. No one needed a full-on degree to be able to buy a product. They just wanted to be able to get a product that was going to support their wellness journey. And I feel like that's our mission with our range.
That's brilliant, and you definitely are doing that from what I've seen with what you've been putting out there. And I think this is like a really good introduction as to like where you are now. But obviously, Hey It Gets Better is all about talking about the stuff that happens before that
Yeah.
and the journey behind getting to where you are now. So I'd love to talk a bit about the challenges you faced to get to where you are now, where you are like helping so many people on their wellness journeys.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you might need a couple of hours. It's not been as simple, but we'll try and keep it to the highlights of the struggles. I came from a background. I think this is something that's really supported me. Is I came up from a background in tobacco, which is a very restricted industry. So when I came into CBD, which is also strangely enough quite a restricted industry, I was probably a little more thick-skinned than other people who were getting into this. If you've come from selling I don't know, clothing, essential oils, kids toys, you would probably struggle getting your CBD brands out there because of the roadblocks that there is. But I had a little bit more of a thicker skin, I think, because I'd already, worked in such a restricted industry previously in my roles. But yeah, one of the main things is the struggles with launching a CBD brand was the lack of understanding out there. So, and I don't mean from consumers, I mean from other companies. So we began our journey by selling CBD vapes via an eBay store. um I was still in full-time work at that time, and I was only basically doing it because I just love CBD. Like I'd used it myself, my nana used it, my family was using it, I'd sold it to so many people, and I was just like, this is amazing. Like it's something I was very passionate about getting out there. So I was like, right, how do I do it? So we began with an eBay store, which was amazing. Like, I think I'd be a millionaire now if I was allowed to carry on selling at the rate it was selling through eBay. It was doing so well. I was so shocked, and we very quickly we invested a quite a big chunk of money in a big load of stock, because we were basically going backwards and forwards the cash and carry like daily to keep up with orders, and we made that investment. And not very long after that, eBay started to take down our products. We hadn't realised. Obviously,
Oh
we
no.
were selling a legal product, and we'd gone through all the verification process to be able to sell vapes. So we registered as a business. We ticked all the boxes that we were meant to do for selling vapes. But eBay actually doesn't allow the sale of CBD on there, which we didn't realise, because when you're reading the terms and conditions, it says things like you cannot sell narcotics or drugs, drug paraphernalia. But at that time, I think it's changed a little bit now, it didn't specify that you could not sell CBD. And as far as we were concerned, we weren't selling a drug or drug paraphernalia or narcotics. We were selling a completely legal food supplement, so we were all good. So yeah, they kind of kicked us off, and we were like, oh, that's great. Like, we've now got all this product. We know people want it, but how the hell are we going to sell it now? Like, what do we do next? Like, we thought about creating our own website, which is what we did end up doing. But we were under no sort of false illusion that, going from eBay, where you've got billions of people accessing it every day, searching for your products, to having your own website and no one even knows it exists, is a huge challenge. And that was a really big struggle then, because we were basically having to drag every person to the website. So every customer that went to the website in the initial stages came through me. I spoke to them personally. I met with them, in real life, or we spoke via Instagram or other social media platforms, and I directed them to the website. No one just found our website, and most people will know that when you've got a new website, you don't just appear at the top of Google. The chances of someone just randomly Googling CBD Products UK and our website coming up at that stage was 1 in a million. Do you know what I mean? So that was
Yeah.
that was quite tough. But that was just, to me, that was just normal business. Anyone who's setting up a new website are gonna have the same thing. Do you know what I mean? You've got to hold hand your customers at first to your website and build up those relationships. And that's what we did, and we gained a good following. So we had like a good following on Instagram. We had customers that were buying regular. We weren't breaking no records, no sales records here. We weren't like breaking the bank or anything, but we were getting customers, and that was what we were really pleased about. That in this really tough industry, we were starting to make some headway, so to speak. At this point, we'd added about 100 different lines to our website. So we had everything from your CBD vapes right the way through to, CBD face masks, CBD lollipops, teas, face creams, body creams, muscle rubs, like you name it. I was like a kid in a sweet shop at the wholesalers. I was just like, I love CBD. And then taking me to a shop that was just full of every product you can imagine with CBD added in. And I was just in heaven. And I wanted them all. We had drinks, we had everything on there. And I was really, really enjoying it. At this point, I was then made redundant. Well, we were told we were going to be made redundant.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but to be honest, I'm not going to lie, I saw people around me at work panic. People have just bought houses, they're just about to get married, they're pregnant, or they've got a spouse that's pregnant. And for some reason, the panic just didn't set in with me. I was just thinking, I'm always one of those people, I think everything happens for a reason. So I was like, this is the way to go. My son personally was going through ASD diagnosis. We were waiting for ADHD diagnosis. So we were backwards and forwards for meetings at school. And I just thought this is probably a perfect time for me to take a break from work and have time there to be present and concentrate on that without having that constant, you know, needing to work and needing to be a good
Yeah.
and be there for all that. So I think that's why I didn't sort of panic at that point. And I was thinking, we've got our little business here, that's going to be a little bit of pocket money with my redundancy pay, and I'll be good. So we booked a holiday, me and my little one, just to get away after the whole everything had gone off. And this is the first time I was leaving the website, so it's like leaving your newborn. I was like, it's going to be okay. Everyone was set up, like my mum did the orders, everyone knew what they were doing while I was gone. And I think I was only there for 3 days. And we got an email from PayPal to say we'd broke their rules, and basically they were closing our account, which was at the time the only
Oh no.
payment provider we had. And again, same situation as eBay. They don't allow payments for CBD products through their website. And again, if you read the fine print, I think it does now. I think a lot of this has changed, but at the time, it didn't actually state anything about CBD. It just said narcotics, drugs, drug paraphernalia, etc., etc. So we was not selling those products. We were selling a completely legal product to people in the UK where it was legal, and it was just like it was like a sucker punch. I was like, oh my God, like seriously, like another one. Like, how can you do this again? Like, it was just such a crappy time. And then they basically hold your money. So if you ever get a PayPal account closed, they hold your money for 6 months. And I completely understand why. It's in case anybody, because they have PayPal protection, someone can claim against you and you have to refund them. And they get so many days to do that. So they have to keep your money in from when the account closes to cover that. But as a small business, you kind of need that cash. Do you know what I mean? You need that money to buy stock and other stuff. So we were quite lucky in the sense that obviously I've been made redundant, and we had funds there to keep ourselves afloat. But I'm a very feeling person, and I always feel really bad because it just made me sad. Then I was like, there's companies out there that have invested money and time to build stuff up, and this has happened to them. And when I looked, it's happened to so many people, and it's literally took them out of business because they don't have the funds and the cash flow to keep themselves afloat for the next 6 months while they recuperate that money again. If they only had 3 bottles of CBD left and they needed to, that was all their money to buy stock. Do you know what I mean? That's like devastating. And I think to be able to look at the fact that we actually had funds to keep going made me feel better. Like it was like I'm not in that position where now they've just ruined me. And I think it gave me a little bit of like I don't know, like like defiance. Like yes, I am doing this. Like you're not going to take me down. And off we went again. This is like the world's shortest business with like the most like things happen in such a short space of time. But then once we got to this point, we were just determined, and we started to apply for card processors and stuff like that. Every card processor was either didn't support CBD companies, so they wouldn't allow you to even apply. It was just stated there already. Lots of them you could apply, and within 2 days they'd message back and be like, sorry, unfortunately we can't offer you a service. um, then we would have companies who would hike the prices up, so you'd go from like a 2% service charge up to like 5, 6, 7% service charge. So we tried to apply for some car processors, and we just came up against wall after wall. Basically, they would either say outright no, they wouldn't support a CBD company and they don't provide payment services. They would say yes, we will, but we're going to charge you 2, 3 times the amount service charges on every payment. Loads of them had ridiculous fine print in which you had to hit a certain amount of sales within the year, so you had to have a certain amount of funds going through the account, or they would hike the prices up again. It was just made really, really tough. And we found a company that was okay, still more than we was paying, but it was kind of like, this company is going to give us an account, so we were just going to have to take the hit on the extra accounts. And we needed a UK bank account in the business's name. So we had a UK bank account, but we didn't have one with the business name. So we tried to swap our current account over to that, and they just vetoed it and said we must reapply specifically, which we did. It took about 6 weeks, and in that 6 weeks, they wanted to know we had to send them the details of every single product, including THC content. We had to send them certificates of analysis for every single thing. We had to send information about our homes, our own bank accounts, our money. So we did all of this over 6 weeks. And then at the end, they just said, yeah, we can't give you an account. Even though we'd answered every single question we answered, they were just like, I felt a little bit like messaging them back. This was Santander, and just saying, what, you knew you wasn't going to give us an account. Like, so why put us through all that stress? Why not just say in the beginning, we're not going to give you an account? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Was it just because you were CBD that they just didn't give you an account?
Yeah, basically. So they just kept coming back, and they'd say, they'd ask for information, we'd send it, then they'd go, oh, we need this now. So we'd send them it. And at every hurdle, we had the information there because we were a legitimate company. We did this a couple more times with a few more high street banks, and realised that we were just never going to get a high street bank account ever, because none of them would provide one for a CBD company, especially a new CBD company that was just starting out. May, we went on holiday and we got the payments pulled, and we managed to get a payment provider in October, because I do a lot of calls with other women in business, and they're like, yeah, so I applied to Stripe last night and they've accepted our account, and it's like so easy and simple. And she's like, yeah, you can have one. And I'm like, I'm so jealous that it's just so easy for you. But yeah, so we managed to get an account, and we got all that set up, and we started to move along with selling our products, and yeah, then we started to want to use like Google Ads. I started to think about, now that I wasn't so concentrating on, hang on a minute, how do we just take payments, and how can we just sell a product? I could concentrate on trying to grow the business, and we wanted to run ads. Every single ad we ran with Facebook, with Instagram, with Google Ads was taken down. We got all our ad accounts banned because they don't allow ads for CBD. So that was just like, we were then just back to the drawing board. Like, that was the plan. Whenever you read like business information on marketing, it's always like, yeah, make use of your ads. And that was like, it was around that so much that then I was just like, okay, well, we can't run an ad, so what the hell do we do? Like, how do we even tell anyone we're here? Like, so it's just one of them things we just had to find new ways to do stuff. So it was just always about like being as interactive and engaging as possible with our customers, and making sure we looked after our customers. I mean, we did that anyway. That was where most of our customer base came from, was from recommendations. So we were like, okay, we can't run an ad, but we can utilize the fact that our customers tell their friends about us. They enjoy the experience. So let's really push on that, and like really give our customers the best experience ever, so that they can go away and tell people how amazing we are. And it's a slower process, but in the end it will work. So yeah, it was about that time then that we decided, after lots of feedback, that we were going to create our own brands, because it had been such an easy and plain sailing year in business that we just decided to up the game and make it give ourselves something extra hard to do on top of that. I don't really know where the thinking of that came from, but we were getting constantly all this feedback from people. We decided the only way to overcome that feedback was to create our own brand, and we could only put all those things right by having a product that we had full control over, and sort of taken back our little piece of the industry to combat that. And I think that's what we have achieved with our products. I think we've gotten that, and the hard parts have got less and less they've not gone, but they are they are getting less. We've currently got our lovely new product, our CBD tea, which has been stuck in Heathrow Airport since October. It's going through extra checks at customs, but it's been going through extra checks at customs for like ever. But I've sort of just like forgot about it for now. I'm like, oh, it'll arrive when it arrives. Do you know what I mean? Like we've
Yeah.
become worse. Well, I mean, like even the day we went to pay, or so we went back and forwards. I went over to San Diego to meet the company that were going to be producing our products, and the day we went to pay was the day we went into lockdown. Um, and because the company is American and the dollar had dropped so much that it was going to cost us like so much more money because of the exchange rate. So we had to actually hold off for a few months then till the exchange rate recovered enough to not cost us another small fortune on top of our already huge bill for our new products. But apart from that and the tea, I would say the last sort of to oh, since the beginning of the year has been a little bit more smoother, so to speak. Apart from those two little things, it's much more smoother than last year. We can actually take payments, and no one's kicking us off any platforms.
It's kind of like that sounds like such a journey, really. Like, and I could just imagine how frustrating it must have been to kind of keep having these roadblocks placed in front of you when you know like what you are doing isn't illegal and there's no reason you shouldn't be able to do it. It just doesn't make sense. But like, how did you keep pushing yourself to go through that? Like, because I feel like a million people probably would have given up, at least like at eBay, or then when PayPal happened, they might have given up then.
I'm not gonna lie, like even when the tea got stuck, I was like, why didn't I give up at eBay? Like, why am I still doing this after all this time? But I think it's a few things, I'm super passionate about CBD, and I'd put in a lot of effort. I've put in a lot of time and energy into this, so I can't give up. Like I just can't. Like that's it. It's just like that was never an option, was to give up. So I think to get myself through those really tough times when another thing would just go wrong, and there was a time I was scared to open my emails because I knew someone would email me and tell me something I didn't want to hear. So I was just kind of like, you can have your 10 minutes of crying and moaning and telling yourself how unfair it is. But then at that point, you've then got to go, okay, what now? Like, what next? You've got to learn to pivot. I'm like a ballerina, pivot that much, It's like, it's not an option. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, PayPal have pulled our payments and it's really crap and it's unfair. And I want to take PayPal to court, but I'm never going to be able to. I'm a small business. I want to do all this stuff. I'm so frustrated. I don't know why I do it. And then, give yourself a couple of hours and then it's like, right, that has happened. I've got no control over it no more. Fighting with PayPal is going to get me nowhere. So what do I do now? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what I did at every point of having a knockback was it's okay to feel angry and it's okay to feel upset about it. Yeah, so you get to that point where you have to stop and you can cry about it and moan and it isn't fair and all the rest of it, and then you just have to kind of say to yourself, okay, what next? That's what I always think. What can I do now? This has happened, but what can I do? And I hate it because I know this is like people can. It's easy to say this when you're already past it, but things happen for a reason. Like genuinely, like if eBay had not kicked us off, I might still be on eBay selling my other products. If PayPal had let me, carry on doing that, we wouldn't have got a good deal as we did now. Everything's sort of those pivots and those changes that I made along the way have kind of got me to where I am now. And even down to not being able to run ads, that really pushed me in the direction of, making sure that my customers were well looked after. And that's such a huge part for me. And it made me realize the benefit of that more than just looking at figures coming in from an eBay, from a Facebook ad. So I think you've got to look back as well and go, okay, last time something went wrong and I changed and look where I am now. Do you know what I mean? So let's do that again. And just trust that journey that you're on, that each thing that's like feels like a roadblock is actually just a diversion to a better way of doing things.
I really like that. I think that's such a good way to look at things.
Look, it's easy to say that looking back. It's harder to feel that when you're in it. Do you know what I mean? When you're in that state of another thing has gone wrong, or why is this happening to us? Um, but if you can try and think of that at the time to just give you that little bit of strength to carry on and think of something else, then that's what business is about. Like, I don't know anyone in business that just has smooth. You don't get to a point to think, and it's just all smooth, it's smooth sailing. Do you know what I mean? I think this is running your business. This is life as a business owner. These things are going to happen, and if you can't learn from them and change your direction with how your business is going, then your business won't succeed anyway. You've got to be flexible. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things as well you can apply to just life in general. Like, loads of things happen for a reason. It's like not just, with your business, it could be a breakup or like having to move somewhere, losing your job. And at first it might feel like the biggest roadblock in the world and everything's ruined, but then you just have to think this is like a new window opened. This is a
Yeah,
diversion, really.
definitely. And I think that's why I was so okay about the redundancy, because I was just like, I've always wanted to own my own business. I've had several businesses over the year, side hustles, whatever you like to call them, that I've never really gone anywhere because I've never had the passion or the time or the focus to put into it. And I've always said I wanted to have my own business. So I felt like as soon as I was being made redundant, it came at the perfect time. I just found this amazing product that I was totally in love with. Then to be made redundant so soon after, I just felt like, right, this is the time. And I gave myself till the end of the year, and I was like, right, take the rest of the year off. I've got the money to do so. Um, if nothing is moving by then, look for another job. And I never ever had to look for another job, which is absolutely amazing. But if I hadn't been made redundant, I had a very stressful, consuming job, and I wouldn't have had the time and the energy that I do have now to put into the business otherwise. So the business wouldn't be what it is running alongside my work. So it's hard to lose a job. I had so many amazing benefits, and I had to then start buying my own car, and all these other things that I had to do, and losing that income was hard, but I think even at the time I could see it as a positive, and I think that's why I was able to cope so well with it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's very like difficult to cope with, especially when it's not your decision. I think
Yeah,
when things are your decision, like if you make the decision to leave your job or you make the decision to like do something, it's easier because you are the one in control. But with
definitely.
something like redundancies, it's taken from you in a way.
Yeah, that's it. And we always find, as humans, we find comfort in that control, in having control over our life. And when there's uncertainty and we don't know what's going on and we have no control over what's going on, that's exactly where stress and anxiety live, in that unknown, because our minds can run away with us. We don't know what's going to happen, and we're always, catastrophizing and thinking of the worst situation. So we like to be in control. And like you said, losing that bit of control and going, actually, we're deciding you've got no job and you've got no plan. Like you said, if you make a decision to leave a job yourself, you've got a plan. You're leaving a job to go to a new one. You're leaving a job to go traveling, to go into education, to start your own business. You had a plan when you did it. When you're made redundant, you've got no plan because you didn't expect it to happen. And that is really, really scary.
I think that's something, like you have to acknowledge. Like, I think how you said, you would let yourself feel like this isn't fair and
Yeah.
this is like a bit rubbish is so important, because it's very easy to say things will get better, but you have to feel those feelings, because otherwise you just bottle them up, and
Yeah.
that in itself is not healthy.
I always say this. I've done a post about it a while back on it's okay to feel your feelings. Like, we, I love this movement, and I've been a huge part of it. I used to do mindset coaching, and you know, keeping your mind as positive as possible, and looking for the positive things in life. It's great. However, I think we might have gone a little bit too far with it, in like we stop ourselves having any negative thoughts. We're like, oh, you know, you don't be upset by that. Think of the positive. Look at the silver lining. Sometimes it's okay to just feel your feelings. If you feel sad, that is okay, as long as you don't live there, because that's not unhealthy. That's unhealthy. If you feel really down, that's okay to feel down and sad at that time, and it's your body's way of telling you to take care of yourself. You know, your mind is saying, look after yourself, because you know we are feeling a bit low. It becomes dangerous if we stay there, if we stay in that low place and that sad place. But you know, that's why I said it's okay to be angry, to be upset, and you know, feel like the world is against you for a short space of time. But then I've got to change my mindset and move past that, because it's a very dangerous place to live.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like you said, you know, it is a dangerous place to live when that is like all you can think. But then there are ways to stop thinking like that without being like super positive, because I think it can be really hard in that mindset to just go, it's fine, every cloud has a silver lining. But there are smaller steps you can take to getting out of that kind of headspace.
And I think there's nothing worse as well. Like, even though I'm quite a positive person, if you if I am feeling crap and someone keeps telling me to cheer up and it's going to be okay, I kind of sometimes want to just say, I want to be sad right now. Like, leave me alone. I want to feel sorry for myself. I want to wallow in self pity, and I don't want you to try and make me feel better. I don't want you to make me feel better. I just want to. I'm enjoying my sadness right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've earned my right to be angry and upset. And I'm not going to stay there forever, but at this little moment in time, that's what I need. I need to feel these feelings. And then I can come up with a plan. I can sit down and go, okay, what next? What do we do now? Like, we don't want to stay in this place. We don't want to stay angry at PayPal and eBay forever. So what do we do now? And you move on, you make a plan, you make small steps and small decisions that are taking you in a new direction. But yeah, sometimes you do just want to feel sorry for yourself, and you should. If you want to feel sorry for yourself for a couple of hours, you do that. You want to binge watch telly and, you know, just sit and order takeout because, you know, life is unfair, then that is fine. And, you know, as long as you don't stay there, that's always what I say. Don't stay there forever. But, you know, you're allowed that 10 minutes of upset.
I completely agree. And I think, as someone like, I graduated this year and definitely had my fair share of like,
I
this is
can imagine.
unfair, this is not like the way it was supposed to happen. And I know, like, you know, you should be positive and grateful that, you know, you're in certain positions, but sometimes you do feel you're angry, you're sad, and you have to feel those feelings.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
you're entitled. You're entitled to those feelings. But my little boy, as I said, he's had his diagnosis now, so he has autism and ADHD. So he finds it very hard to understand his own emotions. Um, and something which I wish I'd learned when he was a lot younger, but I've learned over the past couple of years, if he is to fall over and hurt himself, your automatic reaction as a parent to go, don't cry, it's okay. But that was for my benefit, because I didn't want to see him cry. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I didn't want to see him upset, but now I've changed the way I speak to him about this. So if he gets really angry and upset at a game that he's playing, instead of me saying, don't cry, it's just a game, don't get upset, like, that's not helpful to him at all. I will now say, do you want to cry? And he'll be like, yeah. And I'll be like, it's okay. If that happened to me, I would want to cry too. And he can have his little cry and he can be angry for a minute. And then I'm like, right, what can we do now? Should we go watch a movie, or should we go and get a drink? Should we go for a walk? Should we do this? And then we distract ourselves from that feeling and we go and do something else. But I always try and honor how he felt and sort of tell him that's okay. When he's really angry about something, I'm like, yeah, what happened? Tell me. And when he tells me, I'm like, yeah, if that was me, I'd be angry as well. Like, that's how I would feel. And I'm being genuine. As a grown up, if someone did what they've done on that game to him, I would be angry as well. So he's got every right to feel angry. But as a parent, we want to protect them from them feelings. So I would have used to have said to him, "Don't be angry. It's just a game. Don't be sad." And that's not really that helpful. And I wish I'd learned that when he was a lot younger, is to just tell him it's okay. It's okay if you want to cry. It's okay if you want to be angry. It's okay to do all of these things. You know, he has outbursts and he'll swear and things like that. And I say, that's okay. I would be angry as well. However, we that doesn't mean we can swear at people, because that's not nice. Or however, we can't hate ourselves because that is not nice. But I would be upset too. So it's about, I think he has taught me that we have to really, really honour our own feelings, and we have to let each other know. So when our friends, I do the same with my friends now, if they're upset, my first instinct is to try and make them feel better and tell them it's okay, this is a positive, and point out all the positives. And it's a real struggle for me now to try and change that round and say to them, yeah, actually, we should all be able to be sad for a bit.
I think I had this conversation with someone a few weeks ago, and they were just saying, like, it's so tough when you're really sad and you're trying to like talk to a friend about it, and they're just like, oh no, it's fine, because sometimes it doesn't feel like it's going to be fine, and that's just like how it feels. And it's when you start acknowledging and like your feelings, and like that gives you the ability to deal with them. And like you said, like you go and you do something, like it's simply like self-care. You do go and do something that makes you feel better,
Yeah.
and that is how
Yeah.
you like can get out of those places. But also, you acknowledge them and then you go and do something.
Yeah, so I love that. That's definitely it. Like a little bit of acknowledgement followed by self care is the key. And I'm not here saying I'm the greatest at doing that. My friends will know I literally am a fixer. So as soon as they've got a problem, I want to fix it because I want them to be happy. They're my best friends. So I'm gonna, after having this conversation, I'm gonna put into use more often now what I do with my son. So yeah, that's me. We've just figured out my new focus with my friends. I'm going to stop doing it with just children and transfer that to adults as well, because it's definitely important, and it's been such a key thing in business for me. You don't really associate your feelings and all that kind of stuff with business, but when it's your business, it's like your baby. Do you know what I mean? So there are feelings involved, and when things don't go right, it is devastating because you've put a lot of work in. So yeah, I think that's been one of the key things, is just to be able to go, okay, I'm over me. I've had a shout. I've cried. I've said I'm giving up, but now I'm ready to go again. I'm ready to move on and do something else with this. And I think that's really, I wouldn't be here otherwise. And I'll probably have to do that a whole lot more over the next few years. But I've also had a chat with myself that this is business. I've come to realize that, like,
Yeah.
in business, when you're the founder, when you're the person at the top who's doing everything, then all the problems come to you. You're always the problem solver. You're always the one who's going to have to deal with those issues. So you have to kind of find a way that works for you to be able to deal with that sort of deal with those crises.
That's so true. And I think this has been such a really brilliant and refreshing conversation to have, not just because it's kind of given me like an insight into the CBD industry, but also I think it's definitely given both me and you some kind of like things we
Yeah.
can take away and actually implement in our lives, which I think is so important when listening to like a podcast or recording a podcast, is that you can take away something. And I'd just like to give this opportunity to you just to kind of like, this is a question I ask everyone at the end. And it's, what would you say to someone right now who just, they feel like life isn't going to get better. They're stuck in a rut. They've had like so many roadblocks in their way. What would you say to that person right now?
I think I'd say take care of yourself. After our conversation now, I think previously I would have said, I promise it'll get better. But after what we've just spoke about, that isn't always that helpful when you feel that way. So I think the first thing you need to do in that is take care of yourself. Take a step back, take care of yourself, and come and look back at all these problems with fresh eyes when you've had your feelings, when you've been angry and you've been upset, and you've took care of yourself. Come back and look with fresh eyes, and you'll more than likely see more opportunity than roadblocks once you've let yourself feel your feelings, basically.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope you found it helpful. I really appreciate all the support I get for Hey It Gets Better. It would be amazing if you could subscribe to our channel wherever you listen to your podcast. If you want some more content, then you can always follow us on Instagram at Hey It Gets Better. And for more stories of inspiration and resources to help you get through life, Visit our website, heyitgetsbetter.com. I hope you have a wonderful week, and remember, hey, it gets better.